Hi everybody. I wanted to go over some of the modifications that I made to the SOG Powerpint to make it a little bit more useful. The pliers on it are great, but some of the other tools could be a bit better. Because of the great pliers and because it's just the right size, I wanted to see just what else I could get out of it. I carried a Leatherman Charge TTI for years until I lost it, but it's just a bit too big if you're not using it specifically for work. The PowerPoint fits great in the fifth pocket. It doesn't scratch up my hands or wrist when I need it, when I reach for my keys or my phone in the main pocket. That's why I really liked it. I opened it up with the Roxon M2, which is something that I really like, but unfortunately the metal on that seems a little bit too soft. The scissors on the M2 are fantastic though. Now, the M2 is a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier at about 4.5 ounces to the PowerPoint's 4.2 ounces. So the fit and finish of the multi-tool seems pretty good from the outside. The pliers are nice and smooth, which I like. The needle nose tip lines up perfectly. Also, like something that you like to see on a good quality multi-tool. I like the compound action of those pliers. The way that they open and close allows you to get a little bit more leverage. A little bit like when you squeeze your hands, you're going to be pinching those tires more tightly than you would on just about any other multi-tool that doesn't have that compound action. The file here seems decent. It'll shave off the fingernail a little bit there, so I'll take that. I've heard the earlier versions on the PowerPoint had a kind of a useless file, but this one seems pretty good. The package opener gut hook looks like it will work fine. I'm noticing a lot of debris on it there just from the initial manufacturing. Have to clean that off. Not something you want to see from a quality multi-tool. The small flat tip screwdriver, I tried it. It's a little bit too big for eyeglasses and a little bit too small for electrical work, so I'm not sure how I'm eventually going to use that. The awl is sharp. I'll use that as a scribe for marking wood for sure. Um, the uh, the knife blade seems decent, not super sharp. I'm going to try and sharpen it a little bit later here in the video. You'll see. The serrated blade. I'm actually a person who uses a serrated blade on their multi-tool, so I'm glad to see that there. The can opener, on the other hand, it looks like they didn't even really try. It's not very sharp. It's very dull, and I don't think it's going to open cans. The number one Phillips screwdriver is in there. There's a bottle opener as well. We're going to have to make some modifications to that. I can't remember the last time I opened a bottle with my multi-tool. They're mostly just twist off now. I want to turn that into a nice little flat tip for opening things, for using it for things like an outlet or a light switch cover. Scissors are kind of small, and they're probably going to be pretty useless. They don't open very far, which surprises me a bit. But that's most of the tools on the outside there. So I'm going to try and open a can here. First I'm using the Roxon M2 can opener, which was pretty sharp out of the box. And I'm liking it. It seems like I could go around this can probably in about 40 or 50 seconds and make it all the way around. And yeah, here comes the problem with the ones from the PowerPoint. I was really struggling. It's going to need some work. So, well, let's see what we can do about it. I took it over to the belt sander here, which is really just a typical wood belt sander that you use for flat, for wood and stuff, and put it in my vise. Thought I'd sharpen it up there. Just going back and forth to try and sharpen that edge without taking the corner off, because you need a sharp edge to cut the metal, but you also need that corner to kind of poke through on the can. The blade on it wasn't super sharp, so this is my attempt to sharpen it. I'm putting some green marker on the edges so that I know that I'm getting the right angle when I go back and forth on the stone. I'm using one of those cheap knife sharpening sets that you can get from AliExpress. It worked pretty well on my chisels, but this knife blade holder was just a little bit too large for the small blade on the PowerPoint. I thought I might have more success just doing it by hand. You'll see in a second. I'll switch over here. So here I am doing it by hand, and I'll speed up the video a little bit here so that you don't have to sit here and watch, because I did this for about 10-15 minutes or so. And I went up through all the grits starting, I believe, at around 400. Maybe you'll see on the side of the stone when I turn it over. 1,000, even all the way up to, I think it was around 8,000, or 4 to 8,000 was my final grit. And you'll see the results on it. I tried to cut some paper with it, but definitely needed a little bit more work than what I put into it. Here I am trying to cut the paper. Yeah, needs a little bit more work. I may have actually made it worse than what it came from the factory. So after another 5 minutes or so, I did make some improvements. Just kept going over and over again. I literally started all the way over on the lowest grit and worked my way all the way back up. So I was happy with it at that point. It'll slice paper, but it could be a lot better. I was thinking about maybe having a MagnaCut blade cut for the PowerPint. That would be fun. The cost of it's somewhat prohibitive. Anybody out there be interested in something like that if I had a batch of them, just to help split up the cost? Maybe if we did a run of maybe 50 or 100 of them. I might explore swapping out some of the other tools for something useful as well. I definitely would use an ink pen a lot more than a can opener. Maybe add some tweezers or wire strippers. What do you guys think? Anyway, the can opener was a lot better. I don't know if you saw there. The Roxon was still better, but at least I can get a can open now without struggling. So next I wanted to make a large flat tip out of the end of the file. So I'm grinding it flat here, taking off the little thumb nub that is supposed to help you open it. And then once I get it nice and flat, going back and forth across the sandpaper here so that I don't burn through the sandpaper. Once I get it nice and flat, I'm going to take it on to the top, the rounded edge of the sander, and try and make myself a concave edge, one that slowly creeps up, getting a little bit thicker and a little bit thicker, so that it'll work for different size flat tip screws. And hopefully it'll work as a scraper too, was my thought. So I'm putting on a second bevel into the edge here. You'll see after I get the first one cut that I'll change it to a slightly different angle and grind just a little bit more. There's that second angle right there. I'm just kind of touching it up, and then I'm putting the tip on there just to take off any burrs that might have formed when I was doing the sanding. So the bit driver that is in the back of the pliers is something that really attracted me to this multi-tool. You can basically put any bit into there that you want to, which I don't know, and it's centered, which is nice when you're trying to screw something in. I saw somebody that put a magnet into the back of the bit driver so that it wouldn't fall out as easily when you're rotating it around and screwing it in. It just naturally wants to fall open because these pliers work so smoothly. I had these small magnets. I thought that they might be perfect for holding the tool together, so I'm just kind of putting them where I think that they might fit, but still allow the tool to close all the way. I put a couple magnets in here and tried it, one on each side, and you'll see the results here in a second. When I shook it, it still did come open just a little bit, so I thought, well, maybe I'll add the second set of magnets. After getting that second set of magnets in there, it seemed to be holding together pretty well. It did fall open a little bit on my first hard shake there, but it didn't after that. And I didn't want to just keep adding magnets and keep adding magnets, so I thought, you know what, this is what I'm going to go with. With any type of grip on there, it ought to hold closed. So a quick overview of the different things that we've done. You can see the double edge there on the file, as well as it should make a decent scraper and flat tip. I sharpened the knife, sort of. I might look into getting a better quality sharpener. The can opener is actually usable as a can opener, so that's nice for now. I ground off the nub on the bottle opener and turned it into a flat tip that'll work well for things like outlet covers or other small to medium flat tip jobs. And adding some magnets onto the grips will help the tool stay closed so that it doesn't just, flop open in my pocket, and it seems to hold the bits more securely. So the magnets weren't really holding in place when I opened and closed the tool multiple times. So I thought I either need to super glue them or epoxy them or do something to keep them in place. I wasn't sure if the tool was painted black or it just had some kind of black oxide on it. So I thought I'd better remove some of some of that so that the magnets would have like an actual metal to stick to. I'm sanding it a bit there with a high grit sandpaper. And then the epoxy that I'm using is a simple 1-to-1 mixture of epoxy and hardener that I bought off of Amazon. I've seen the same stuff on Temu and AliExpress. I'm just spreading it mixing it right here. And then I'm going to spread it onto the grips, and then I'm going to add the magnets. Now I did give this a full day to cure. And since then, it hasn't moved. It's been about 2 weeks since I did this. And it seems to be holding up fine, so I'm happy with it. Maybe I could have put a little bit more epoxy on them, but hey, as long as it's holding, and I can always redo it if they do pop off. These little magnets were really hard to get a hold of with my hands, my fat fingers. It would have been nice to have maybe some plastic tweezers in order to grab them. If I tried to use metal, the magnets would just stay on the metal of the metal tweezers. So yeah, maybe plastic would have worked well here. But I eventually got it. They were a little bit misaligned, so I tried to line them up with the screwdriver and put a little bit more epoxy on them, wiping off the excess with a little towel here, shop towel. Now that's good enough for now. So I wanted to compare a few of the different multi-tools that I have with the Powerpint. The Squirt is obviously smaller, but and I found it works best on a keychain. I don't like having it float around in the bottom of my pocket, and the pliers are kind of small. The Roxon M2 pliers are a bit larger than the Squirt, and they're spring-loaded like the Squirt, which I like. What I don't like is that they flex quite a bit. You'll see here when I push sideways on them, and this is a pretty much brand new multi-tool. It hasn't been used for anything hard yet. And those pliers are still pretty small compared to the SOG. Now look at how stout that the Powerpoints are, and comparing it to the Skeletool, that this Skeletool has been used and abused for several years. Yeah, I would say that they have very similar pliers. The SOG having maybe even a little bit more metal than the Leatherman Skeletool. Now I wanted to compare how the different multi-tools would fit in a fifth pocket, which is really where I wanted to carry my everyday carry multi-tool. This Squirt, with even a small flashlight and a couple of keys, fits easily. The Roxon M2 also fits well. The clip seems fairly secure, didn't move around. The Powerpint is a bit taller, but it also fits pretty well, and it doesn't scratch up my hand or my wrist when I reach into the pocket for my keys or my phone. The one thing I noticed is that the pocket clip on the Powerpint is the strongest of the three that I tried. I don't have the feeling that it's going to fall out if I was sliding on my stomach in the crawl space underneath the house. The Skeletool is just a little bit too big for a fifth pocket. The clip is also the thinnest and the weakest of the three. Notice how when I put my hand in my pocket, it slides forward when I put my hand in the main pocket of my pants there. So that's pretty much it for the review of the Powerpint. I've been carrying it every day since I got it, and here's one thing that I didn't realize I would like so much. Adding those magnets kind of helped to pull it shut, and it makes like a little click, something that I really enjoy. And oh, if you're interested in some of these mods or maybe getting a magnet cut blade, let me know. Thanks for watching.